All right, this is Patrick Rogers, and today we have the privilege to have Freeda Johnson on the show, and Freeda is the CEO of Freeda Print. Welcome to the show, Freeda.
Thank you, Patrick. My pleasure indeed.
Awesome. So a little bit about Freeda. She is a leader with over 15 years of experience managing multi-million-dollar global product lines, spanning technology, aerospace, and e-commerce. She's a founder of a B2B Marketplace for sustainable packaging. She has earned recognition, including being selected for the Columbia University Greenhouse Accelerator, participating in the Project 2.8 Startup Accelerator, and winning the Columbia Business School Lang Fund Pitch Competitions. Pretty impressive stuff there. She's also a commercial pilot. That's very cool. I'd love to learn a little bit more about that. And has earned her MBA from Columbia Business School, a certification in cybersecurity, risk management from Harvard University, a bachelor's degree in aeronautical engineering, aviation safety, and computer engineering. So again, Freeda, very impressive resume. Can't wait to dig in and just learn more about who Freeda is. Before we do that, what's one interesting fact about yourself that not many people know, Freeda?
Well, I am a mom of three kids, three teenagers.
Okay.
College. I don't think many people know that about me, and that they are my pride and joy. So yes, I think that's one interesting fact about me.
Okay, awesome. And it's always impressive to me to have single, whether father or mother, single, parents, and they're still able to juggle their life, juggle their kids' life and everything else, and still hold down an entrepreneurial vision and that journey.
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, especially today, I see a lot of women feel it's one or the other. It's either the career or as a journey as a parent. I'm not saying you can have it all, but you can definitely have everything in its own time.
What's been your biggest challenge on that journey with kind of having that family and having this entrepreneurial vision?
Absolutely. I always had to make trade-offs and always assess what my priorities were in that moment in time. So when I first started my journey as a pilot, as a commercial pilot, I had to make a trade-off of taking a pause and looking after my children. And I happily did that. And I would not change anything at that minute, because I think women need the time to nurture and grow and spend time with your children, and then come back to their career or do it together, but to keep their mental health and their physical health first.
Yeah, it's like the whole what's the air things that fall down from the airplane, right? Whatever they're called, the air masks, right? You got to do your own first.
Yes,
your oxygen mask. Thank you, because if you don't do your own first, you're not going to be able to get your kids,
exactly.
right? So
exactly.
Awesome. So tell us about Freeda Print and tell us about what you guys are doing.
Absolutely. So Freeda Print essentially is an effort to connect offshore manufacturers and designers to US consumers who need sustainable packaging and innovative compostable packaging for their products. There's a whole shift towards not just sustainable products and business, but also downstream at the packaging level. And the reason I picked this as one of my niches is because it very neatly vertically integrates to my family business, who's also in sustainable packaging and printing. So I figured I had a leg up there, and to continue the legacy and connect the dots to what my children wanted, a more sustainable environment and more greener planet. So while I don't feel I don't have a savior complex, I'm not out to save the world, but I'm out there to do a bit and to do a little part in my journey towards a sustainable planet.
Awesome. So how then, just kind of help me connect the dots, how does your company really help in that sustainable planet? What's the impact that you're going to have on sustainability?
Absolutely. So one is smaller manufacturers in India, they do not have the visibility on the global scale. So connecting them and making them a network of manufacturers that supply to the US consumers has a bigger impact, because a lot of manufacturers in India either have no desire to or don't have the wherewithal or the ability to do exports and be part of the international supply chain. And that's where the marketplace comes in, that takes away all the logistical and supply chain nightmare that small manufacturers want to put up with. We take that for them. make it seamless and make it transparent, that all they have to do is just list their products online, and we take care of the entire supply chain, and we can take care of the demand generation in the US as well.
Got it. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your journey. When did you start the company, and what have been some of your, some of your lessons learned in getting to where you are now?
So, contrary to a lot of beliefs, I did not sort of go, really fast in this growth. I started the company in 2017, extremely slowly, and I was also doing a full-time job at the same time. And I figured I could just sort of do it as a side gig, and then let it take a life of its own. I saw that this needed my full-time attention. And then just very recently in May, I decided to focus on it full-time, create a team, and have this sort of accelerate a little more than what was the pace before.
Yeah, gotcha. Awesome. So you were taking your time. You started out as a side gig. And you're like, let this thing kind of have a life of its own, so it doesn't consume. Because you have your children, you have a full-time job. That's when you were doing the commercial air pilot thing.
Well, I was flight instructing, so I was doing that on the weekends. So
wow.
There was a lot of things that was
Oh my gosh.
And,
so now you're working weekends, you're working full-time during the day.
Yes. So I have sort of paused on the flying, like I said, having to make trade-offs. So now my kids are teenagers, they're having their life of their own. So I'm
a little more free time.
And focusing more on entrepreneurship, and also giving some time to aviation.
Awesome. So you kind of said it in our pre-talk, you had said, when I asked you what's one of the main things that you think other CEOs could learn from your experience, and you had said it was to nurture both online and offline channels.
Absolutely. It's just my opinion that I feel a lot of startups focus purely on digital means and online means to grow and make revenue, and sort of ignore, at least in the beginning days, the offline channels and having those human connections. And I think the COVID era also kind of emphasized completely virtual world. I would encourage for new startups and founders to actually go to this trade shows and meet people in person, make those connections, make those human relations, and show the face behind the company, and sort of make it more real, and go back to the traditional ways of doing business, actually meeting and shaking hands in person.
Yeah. So so you're doing both. You're focusing on digital ways to grow the business, but also offline. What have been the best? And I'd like to dive in maybe both of those, since that's kind of the main thing that you had hit on. What do you think has been the best digital means? So your company, you're B2B, right? You're going for B2B. You're looking for companies that are offshore manufacturers who need help getting their packaging done. Are you doing that overseas as well?
So we're manufacturing overseas for US consumers, so for US brands and US companies.
Right. Okay. So are the company for US companies? So your clients are here in the States, right? And they're doing offshore manufacturing, and then you're actually doing the printing and packaging overseas as well. So so do you do the manufacturing of their part as well, or no? You're just doing the packaging of their part. Okay, so overseas they have excuse me, they have some production facility. They're having something made over there, wherever. It could be China, it could be India, and then they're shipping the product from there to your facility, where it's going to be packaged and printed and all that, and then it gets shipped globally, or pretty much most of them come back to the States.
Most of them ship ocean freighted to the States, yes.
Most of them come back to States. Okay, so your clients are here. So when we're talking B2B, what has been the best marketing effort for you let's just go into digital right now. What's been the best for you for B2B marketing?
Absolutely. So for digital, B2B marketing has been, email outreaches. Even though I know people say that doesn't work, it does work to a certain extent. People do.
Works for me.
It does.
Yeah.
LinkedIn connections, and try and make it a bit more intentional. Build a relationship first. Sort of meet with the connections you want on LinkedIn. Follow them, understand them. Don't just cold outreach. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But what has worked for me better has forming a relationship digitally, seeing what's important to them, providing some nuggets, and sort of for a lack of a better word, just engaging, flirting with them in the comments, having a very pleasant exchange.
Flirting with them in the comments. I like that.
It's just, it adds a human element to it, and adds more relatability to it.
So it's kind of being fun, to kind of being relaxed, try not to be this like, because so many people on LinkedIn, you get these, excuse my language, I get these spam messages all the time, right? I mean, they're like this long, and you're like, good Lord, why? A, I don't know you. B, why do you think I would read something that long? And do you understand that I get like 20 of these a day? Are you serious?
Exactly. So when you sort of break the ice before, make it, bring the human component and remove the spammy messages out, they're more inclined to talk to you. And that's when you sort of say how you can add value rather than just a spam message. But if you could truly add value, you have, they definitely will want to meet with you and speak with you.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I spent a lot of time, I actually used to own a marketing company that we used to do those services, B2B outreach, and you're hitting the nail on the head. The two of the best ways is email, a cold outreach, and it does work if you have the right message, and LinkedIn. It's just, bar none. And it's so funny because I see so many B2B companies out there trying to do, they're focusing on so many other things. A few of my clients that I've had, they're like, oh, we're doing this SEO campaign. I'm like, okay, SEO is for B2C. It's, maybe for large B2B, if you got nothing but money left over to spend on placated marketing, right? But so conventional marketing is very different. I'm glad to hear you've nailed that. So I'd love to know, so on the traditional side of things, tell me a little bit more of what you guys have done there and what you recommend to other entrepreneurs who really want to grow that B2B presence.
So, bootstrapping and growing organically. So going to trade shows, even though if you can't put a booth on it, at least just go in as a participant, put your face to the name, shake hands, meet people, and, try and get as much as what you call door-to-door sales experience in shows. There's nothing better than that, especially when you're growing, when you're bootstrapping. And you don't want to spend a lot of marketing dollars. So if you have a lot of money to throw, there's a lot of other ways to do it. But when you're starting off, it's best to do it the grunt way.
Yeah. So trade shows, anything else that you'd recommend for kind of that those offline channels?
For the offline channels, friends of friends, get the word around. You are your own ambassador. You'll be surprised how many within your own network will speak for you if you truly are passionate about what you're doing. And don't shop talk at Thanksgiving dinner, but definitely, let people know what you're doing, and brag about what deals you've closed or how you've helped people, and just let people know who you are and what you're doing. And I think that spreads the word. It's just word of mouth is always very helpful.
Yeah, love it. You had mentioned when I asked you what's the biggest failure that you learned from as a CEO, you said it's not diversifying early enough.
So when I first began, I was sort of very hell-bent on fixing my digital product, because I came in from primarily very strong technology background. So my focus was there, and I wanted to build this AI generative demand forecasting model for my clients, and all that costs money. These are great ideas, cost money. And what was the one shift I didn't realize coming from corporate world to a bootstrap startup was I did not have bags of money.
Right. You don't have that endless money sitting there. There's no budget.
There's no budget, and there was no one to argue for the budget, because the one who was approving the budget was me, and I knew the books. So it was a very humbling experience. And then I soon realized I needed to have whatever products I had to sort of diversify that quickly and sell that and get the revenue on the books. That was the only way I could spend money on things that I like doing in technology. but I had to get the revenue, and it was very humbling and sort of it closed a whole loop, because I would always ask fight for my budgets in the corporate world, and I'm like, damn, I'm saying the same things to myself now.
Yeah.
Get revenues up, get the company going, create shareholder value. In this case, it's a private company, but I still have to answer back to my private investors within the company. So you still need to diversify enough to make sure that the product line holds its own value.
So kind of give us an example of how have you really diversified? So mainly you're talking your client type for diversification, or marketing?
So the customer segmentation. So initially I was focused on one particular customer segment, and sort of driving my product to that. And I soon realized that that wasn't the right mechanism. So I would still have do my marketing efforts for that customer segment, but also tap onto another customer segment and another market, which was more receptive to my products. And so that's what I did.
So did you, because you didn't diversify early enough, how did that impact you?
It was very slow. I mean, from 2017 till 2023, we were just focused on one particular market, one particular
So for
segment.
6 years you were in just one market and you were having that slow growth. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just kind of diversified here this year.
Yeah.
And you're experiencing growth from it.
We're experiencing a lot of product awareness. We're experiencing a lot of customer reach. We have almost about 1,000% increase in signups from 2016. So yes.
So how did you? I mean, so walk us through that. Like what diversifying, going from I got 6 years of slow growth. How did you find this new customer segment? Like what, I don't know if you can tell us exactly what the customer segments are that you were focused on, and then what you went to, and then how did you discover it, and how did you make that transition?
So one was primarily, I wasn't completely focused on it. It was my team, and they were doing the routine operational tactical stuff, keeping the company afloat. It was more of a side gig for me, so I didn't quite give it much of a strategic direction. And then when I took a close look at the market trends, I figured there was a huge push in the restaurant industry for sustainable packaging materials. And where we had our strengths, where we had enough and more supply manufacturer network, and we weren't tapping into that. We were completely focused on in-flight for airlines, which was doing great in the Indian market. We were pretty well known there, and it was running system. But the US arm was not. We were not doing anything in terms of market share, because the US airlines, we don't have that much of a first class meals in the economy class. In the Indian airlines, you see even the economy class have in-flight meals with stuff. So there was a lot more need for sustainable packaging in the Indian markets, whereas in the US markets there were, but not, we couldn't really penetrate it as we'd like to. So I just shifted focus completely on the restaurant and the food and service industries, and we've seen a huge uptick there.
Wow, fantastic. Well, congrats for having the awareness and the humility, right, to be able to kind of pivot, because a lot of CEOs are like, hey, this is our direction and I'm not open to other things. And so you were. That's awesome. So let me ask, if you were going to hire a CEO to take the reins for your company one day, what's the one book you would require that he or she read before taking over for you, and why?
I mean, there are many books, but Atomic Habits is one book that some might say is pretty basic. Everybody should know it. But I think there's a reason why it's basic and foundational, because once you have, it's gonna, I don't remember who said this, but once you wake up in the morning, get the blinds on, make your bed, that's your one habit you keep doing every day. You will make sure that you have accomplished one task and get to the other task and feel a sense of, okay, let's get this done. Let's grab the day. So you need to build those small habits, and leads to a great.
I think it was that Navy Admiral, I forget his name, but it's he says I think the name of his book is "It's Your Ship,"
Oh,
And
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
yeah. So, and that's one of the things he says in there is like the biggest, the most important accomplishment every day is just waking up and making your bed. So I can't agree with you more. Um, uh, so Freeda, awesome having on the show. What I'd love to do is just take a few minutes and kind of summarize some of my big takeaways. One is when you're growing your company, don't just focus on the online models. And I know, like you said, COVID kind of pushed everybody in that direction. But now that we're back open, right? The world is open. Trade shows and being belly to belly and person to person is a lot more very effective in building those relationships and closing deals. There's just so much connection that can be made person to person versus Zoom. I mean, Zoom's good, but like I can't agree with you more. And then we kind of talked about some of the ways that you've been able to do online digital marketing, B2B marketing. Email outreach has been very effective for you, and LinkedIn connections. And from my experience, it's all about that message. It's all about that first message. And just some of my lessons on that is if you try to make it long and try to make it this thing instead of just conversational and short, you're going to fail. And so the more you can do that. And we talked about not diversifying early enough, and really analyzing your potential market segments. Where can you take what you're doing now and just with a slight pivot, maybe just marketing a new client? You don't have to change anything that you're doing. So there's no additional expense and equipment or training or anything else, maybe slight training. But how can I go over to this market over here and maybe hit that untapped market? So congratulations for you on that. If there was one takeaway, Freeda, that you would want the audience to really absorb from our time together today, what would that be?
I think just go back to basics and do what makes you feel good. Do what makes you want to wake up in the morning and make your bed and get part of the day. Do what makes you happy. I think once you know what that is and you follow that path, I think you will be fine.
Yeah. Awesome. Great. So Freeda, if any of our listeners wanted to reach out and get a hold of you, perhaps for any follow-up questions on anything, what's the best way they could do that?
They can ping me on LinkedIn. I
Okay.
always check my messages. I'll definitely make time to respond.
Great. Okay, and we'll have your profile on the podcast page. So awesome, Freeda. Thank you again for being on the show. It was great having you.
Likewise, Patrick. Thank you for the questions, and I love that hat at the back. I always want to ask what that was.
It's a Navy officer hat, naval officer hat. Yep. So
okay, so you spent some
yeah,
time in the Navy.
I did. That's why I'm very familiar with that gentleman's book, although I can't remember his name. So a little bit embarrassed there, but yeah. Yeah, great. So again, thanks for being here. And for the listeners, please hit the like and subscribe button. Help us spread the word about what we're doing. We're helping the next generation of leaders and CEOs be that much more effective and successful. With that, this is Patrick Rogers, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks a lot.